Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a really unique exploration. We're peeling back the layers of an ancient text that, honestly, even thousands of years later, feels shockingly relevant.
It really does. It speaks to these incredibly deep human experiences.
Mm,
Love, intimacy, and that spiritual longing we all feel for connection.
absolutely. And we're diving deep into one specific chapter today. It's from a book that's just renowned for its bold celebration of love.
Yeah, bold is the right word. But it's not just any love, is it? It's the kind that pulses with this profound sensuality,
Mhm.
real physical attraction, but also this unwavering commitment, all within a framework that's presented as, well, divinely ordained.
Right. And as we get into this material, we'll see how this earthly passion, which is described so beautifully, often focusing on the human body itself,
Hmm.
how it acts as this powerful mirror, almost perfect reflection maybe of our own hunger, our thirst, our passion for a relationship with the divine.
Exactly. It's this incredible parallel. The physical reflecting the spiritual, the human love echoing divine love.
So that's our mission today. We want to unearth some of those surprising insights, maybe those nuggets of wisdom that might challenge what you think about sacred text or even about love itself.
Yeah, the goal is to leave you feeling, well-informed, but not buried in information. Hopefully intrigued by just how rich this ancient wisdom is.
We're talking about a book that's so focused on love, it's actually called The Song of Songs.
Song of Songs, yeah. And that title, in the original language, is like saying King of Kings or Lord of Lords.
Yeah.
It implies it's the absolute best, the pinnacle.
The ultimate song about love.
Pretty much. The idea is that no other poem, no opera, no piece of writing, ancient or modern, can really top its depiction of marital love.
Hmm.
It's presented as the song, divinely inspired, and just breathtaking in its detail.
And our sources really emphasize that divine origin point. The idea that the creator himself authored this ultimate expression of marital love, like a sacred blueprint for human intimacy.
Right. But it doesn't just stop at the physical level, does it? That's what's so fascinating.
No, it goes much deeper.
It's incredibly multi-layered, a real symphony of meaning, you could say. So yes, it speaks plainly, beautifully about human marriage, two people becoming one, the physical, the emotional.
All of that.
But at the same time, it works as this profound allegory. It paints this vivid picture of the union between God and his people, or, Christ and his church.
So it's working on multiple levels simultaneously.
Exactly. It's like an eternal song connecting the dots between the most intimate physical parts of marriage and the spiritual intimacy believers can experience with their Creator. Understanding that dual interpretation is, well, it's absolutely key to unlocking its richness.
Okay, let's unpack that then. To really get the beauty of God's intended design for intimacy, our sources suggest it helps to first look at the contrast. What happens when things go wrong?
Yeah, it's like you need the shadows to appreciate the light.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So intimacy within marriage is presented as this magnificent gift from God, something thrilling, almost overwhelming, like a roller coaster ride.
That's a great analogy they use, isn't it?
Yeah.
On a roller coaster, you get that ecstasy, that exhilaration, maybe even a bit of controlled fear.
Right.
But what lets you really enjoy it without being terrified of, flying off the
A
rails?
harness, the safety bar.
Precisely. And our sources describe marriage as being like that divine boundary, that protective harness. It's the structure that allows for immense joy, pleasure, the full expression of love, physical and
Oh,
emotional,
with that chaos.
without the risk of harm, chaos, or destruction.
Yeah.
It's about maximum delight within maximum security.
So staying within that boundary, that harness of marriage, it's not restrictive, it's actually protective. It lets you experience intimacy as it was meant to be. And the sources do point out that stepping outside those boundaries can lead to, well, significant problems. They even mention things like devastating health consequences, STIs, specifically linking them to intimacy outside of that committed protective bond.
Yeah, they don't shy away from that. It's presented not as arbitrary rules, but as sort of stark reminders of the vulnerabilities, physical and emotional, that come up when love isn't within God's intended design.
And the ancient texts themselves, like the one we're exploring, they definitely show the ugly side when love goes wrong. They're quite impartial about it.
They really are. No sugarcoating. Take, for instance, that account in Genesis chapter 6. It talks about these beings, often called fallen angels, looking at human women and just taking them.
Not mutual consent, then.
No, the text implies force. And this corruption of the divine order leads to the Nephilim, these powerful, maybe legendary figures. The whole situation is described as ugly.
And it led to widespread problems.
rampant evil, a complete societal breakdown according to the text, eventually divine judgment. It's a really stark illustration of how messing with the design for intimacy can lead to chaos and destruction, not just for individuals, but for everyone.
That's sobering. And it's not just an isolated story, is it? Our sources point to other examples, like Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis 19.
Right. Another chilling one. You have the men of the city demanding Lot hand over his angelic visitors, saying, "So we may know them,"
Which is a euphemism for
sexual assault, essentially.
Okay.
Lot himself calls their intent wicked. He recognized the danger, the non-consensual nature of it.
And the response.
Swift. The angels strike the men blind, and the city faces destruction. It really underscores how unchecked sexual appetites, when God's guidance is ignored, can just escalate wildly out of control, leading to total collapse.
And then there's that passage in Romans chapter 1. It feels almost like a clinical analysis of this tendency.
It does. Starting around verse 21, it explains how people knew God but didn't honor him, did give thanks. And because of that, their thinking became futile, their hearts darkened.
And the text says God gave them up.
Yeah. Gave them up to uncleanness, letting them follow the intense lust of their own hearts, which led to dishonoring their own bodies. It describes this progression into what it calls vile affections.
Like what specifically?
Well, it mentions women changing the natural use of their bodies, the intended design for relational intimacy, into something against nature. And similarly, men leaving the natural use of the woman and burning in their lust one toward another, men with men.
So the point is that without God's regulation, these desires can go to destructive extremes.
That seems to be the argument presented, that a lack of divine guidance can lead to escalating behaviors that result in profound spiritual and moral decay.
It's powerful stuff, and maybe uncomfortable for some people to even talk about. Our sources mention that these topics often get avoided in religious circles.
They do.
What's the danger in that silence, do you think? And how does being frank, like the Song of Songs is, actually help?
Well, the danger of silence is it leaves people unprepared, vulnerable. If these truths, both the beauty of the design and the real consequences of straying, aren't discussed within a framework of wisdom,
People will encounter them elsewhere anyway.
exactly, often through distorted or harmful views. The frankness of the ancient texts about both the beauty and the potential pitfalls means we shouldn't shy away either. It's about understanding the full picture, offering guidance, offering hope.
Okay, so with that context, that understanding of the potential for distortion, we can really turn now to the beauty, the breathtaking, intended design for intimacy we see in chapter 2 of the Song of Songs.
Yes. Let's move from the shadows into the light. This chapter is just this bold, unashamed declaration of blossoming love and desire. The language is so vivid, so evocative. It really paints this picture of passionate connection between, well, presumably a couple about to be married or newly married.
A celebration of attraction, physical and emotional. It engages all the senses.
Absolutely. It starts with the woman describing herself. "I am the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valleys."
Is that meant to be modest? Or confident?
It feels like a delicate confidence, maybe, reflecting the beauty she feels because of his love for her. And these flowers, the rose and the lily, in that ancient world, they weren't just pretty, they were potent symbols.
Symbols of what?
Sexuality, fertility, striking beauty. The lily especially, with its pure form, its open petals, its scent. It can be seen as a metaphor for her allure, her freshness, her readiness to bloom within their relationship.
A natural, God-given beauty inviting intimacy.
Yes, and his response is immediate and just as telling. He says, "As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters."
So she stands out completely.
Totally. He sees her as uniquely radiant, uniquely desirable. It's not just that she's beautiful, but she's the most beautiful to him, above all others. It highlights that idea of genuine preference, singular adoration in a committed relationship.
That's beautiful. And what about the rose and thorns idea?
Yes, that analogy often comes up. A rose is stunningly beautiful, but it has thorns protective, sometimes painful. Our sources suggest this mirrors humanity. Everyone comes with thorns.
Imperfections, baggage, struggles.
Exactly. Past hurts, sinfulness, whatever it is. But true love, especially the kind described as agape love, that unconditional, selfless affection like Christ's love for us, it embraces despite the thorns.
Sees beyond the flaws.
It chooses to cherish the beauty anyway. It sets this really realistic but also hopeful tone for marriage. You know, two imperfect people coming together, choosing to love, finding beauty even in the vulnerability.
And the lily's beauty gets reinforced even more powerfully, doesn't it, by something Jesus said?
Yes. That amazing statement that even Solomon in all his array was not arrayed like one of these lilies. It's not just about flowers being pretty. It highlights this absolute breathtaking wonder.
The kind of wonder spouses should see in each other.
Exactly. Seeing a divine intrinsic beauty in each other that surpasses any worldly status or clothes. Seeing God-infused beauty in your spouse's body, mind, spirit.
And this imagery connects to the spiritual side, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Seamlessly.
What?
Jesus himself is called the lily of the valley and the rose of Sharon in other traditions and texts. It points to his inherent beauty, his purity.
And the attraction believers feel towards him?
Yes, that irresistible, passionate pull, it mirrors the deep attraction in marriage. Just as the lovers are drawn to each other's beauty, we're drawn to Christ's righteousness, his love, his perfect nature. There's this magnetic quality.
The text then moves into this intense yearning for closeness, using that apple tree metaphor.
Right. The woman says, "As the apple tree among the trees of the wood, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste."
So why an apple tree?
Well, think about it. An apple tree isn't valued most for its height or its timber. It's valued for its fruit, nourishing, sweet, satisfying. And before the fruit, you get the blossoms, right?
Yeah.
A beautiful promise.
Ah, okay, so the blossoms are like the start of intimacy.
That's how our sources interpret it. The blossoms leading to the fruit. It connects to those early stages, the holding close, the hugging, embracing, cuddling, the kissing, the fondling.
The nibblings and checkings, as the source material called them.
Exactly. Those tender, sensual interactions that build that delicious anticipation, leading towards deeper physical union. And that phrase, "his fruit was sweet to my taste." It's a beautifully uninhibited, sensual way of describing intimate physical pleasure.
Hinting at the whole spectrum of enjoyment in marriage.
Yes, without reservation. It's about savoring every part of the connection, from the first spark to the deepest physical delight. The journey is as sweet as the destination.
It really paints this vivid, almost edible picture. Suggests intimacy isn't just about one moment, but the whole delightful process.
It really does.
It makes you think, how often do we maybe rush past those foundational moments? How important is that prolonged anticipation, really engaging all the senses for the health of a marriage? And maybe for our spiritual walk, too.
Oh, it's absolutely crucial. Those preparatory acts, the kiss, the caress, the whispers, they're like foreplay for the soul. Physically and spiritually, they build connection, trust, anticipation.
They affirm the love.
Yes, communicate value, prepare body and spirit for deeper union. Without those nibblings, the fruit might still be sweet, but you'd miss the richness of the journey, the buildup of desire and affection.
Okay. And then he brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love.
Right. The banqueting house sounds like a celebration, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A feast, maybe even a wedding feast or some public display.
And the banner over me was love. That's such a strong image.
Isn't it? Like a flag waving proudly for everyone to see. It signals this open, visible declaration of his affection. She's cherished, she belongs to him, and he loves her more than anything, even the feast itself. It's a public affirmation of their private bond.
Wow. And spiritually.
Spiritually, it connects so beautifully to the anticipation of the supper of the Lamb in heaven, that divine celebration, that banquet for believers with God. It highlights the joy, the intimacy, the communion of that future union we look forward to.
Like the groom celebrating his bride.
Precisely.
Yeah,
Christ, the heavenly bridegroom, celebrating his union with his church, his beloved, in a banquet of incredible intimacy and joy. A reserved place at the table just for us.
Then the woman expresses this intense longing. Sustain me with raisin cakes, refresh me with apples, for I am sick of love. We need to be clear about sick of love here.
Yes, absolutely. It doesn't mean she's tired of it or disgusted. It means she's overwhelmed, consumed by this intense, aching desire for connection with him.
Loves it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Her whole being yearns for his presence, his embrace. And she's saying that ordinary things, even sweet things like food, they just can't satisfy this particular hunger.
It's a deeper hunger.
A deep yearning for intimate physical and emotional connection. Her focus is entirely on him, and then the text gets even more explicit about the physical intimacy.
His left hand is under my head, and his right hand doth embrace me.
Yeah, and our sources are clear. This isn't some polite, chaste hug. This is describing a deeply intimate, even overtly sexual embrace. Bodies entwined, hands exploring, claiming. A profound physical closeness.
And the head potentially alluding to her breasts as pillows.
That's one interpretation drawn from other biblical imagery about marital satisfaction. It suggests a place of profound comfort and satisfaction for the man. It just underscores how frankly and beautifully the text talks about mutual physical pleasure in marriage. The body is a vessel for delight.
It really is a depiction of complete surrender and joyful union, finding satisfaction in each other.
And yet, even with all this intense passion, there's this surprising principle of patience woven in.
Right. That admonition, I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles and by the hinds of the field, that ye stir not up, nor waken my love till he please.
It sounds restricted maybe at first, but it's actually empowering, isn't it? It's a call to respect God's design, emphasizing patience, wisdom, the right timing for love to develop and be expressed fully within the marriage covenant. The gazelles and deer running together, it suggests this unified movement, shared anticipation, respecting the natural flow.
So desire is strong and natural, but there's a right time and place for its full expression, to let it flourish properly.
Exactly, within its intended boundaries. And spiritually, this connects directly to anticipating Christ's return, often called the wedding night for the church.
A time of complete union with him.
Yes, a divine intimacy that believers eagerly await. Just as the bride in the song is urged to wait for the right time, we're called to patiently, yet eagerly, await that final union with Christ, trusting his perfect timing for ultimate satisfaction.
The story then shifts again to the beloved's arrival. It's so dynamic. The voice of my beloved, behold, he cometh leaping upon the mountains, skipping upon the hills.
Incredible energy, right? Vibrant movement, pulsating vitality. It symbolizes his virility, his passion, his eagerness. He's not just walking, he's bounding over obstacles to get to her.
Full of life and anticipation.
Totally. And spiritually, you can easily see this as God's triumphant arrival, breaking through every barrier, every mountain of doubt to reach his beloved people, coming with power, determination, desire for communion.
No obstacle is too great for his pursuit.
That's the picture. And his presence is constant, watchful. My beloved is like a roe or a young hart. Behold, he standeth behind our wall. He looketh forth at the windows, showing himself through the lattice.
Always watching, always present, even if not right beside her.
Yes, that constant gaze, that attentive presence, always seeking connection, finding ways to be seen. It's this beautiful image of longing and unwavering attention. The body's posture showing the heart's yearning.
And that relates to how believers should keep their eyes on Jesus.
It really does. Being watchful, aware of his constant presence, knowing he's always attentive to his church, his beloved. Just like the human lover is focused on his beloved, Christ is focused on us.
And then comes that tender invitation. My beloved spake and said unto me, rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away.
Such an irresistible invitation to intimacy, both human and divine. A call to leave the ordinary behind, step into that sacred shared space.
And spiritually, it links to Christ's call.
Directly. Come unto me, all ye that are heavy laden, offering rest, peace, strength. It emphasizes that need for us to actively come away from the world's noise and demands, to be fully present with him, answering his call with our whole being.
Actively pursuing the relationship.
Yes. And with that invitation, this whole new season unfolds. For lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of the singing of birds is come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land.
Wow, what a shift in atmosphere. So sensory.
Isn't it? Winter is past, such a powerful metaphor for ending barrenness, coldness, distance. The start of new life, renewal, blossoming joy, and passion.
A fresh start.
Totally. And the details. Spring flowers, singing birds, the peaceful cooing of turtle doves, symbols of gentleness. It's not just scenery. It's adding flavor and spice to the relationship, like seasoning enhances a meal, creating this rich atmosphere for love.
So it's not just about the physical act, but the whole environment of love.
Exactly. And it encourages us, doesn't it, to actively spice up our own marriages, to make a conscious effort to bring newness, beauty, delight into daily life, develop those unique languages of affection, cultivate shared experiences, keep things fresh.
Like tending a garden, bringing spring renewal into the bond.
Precisely. And the senses keep getting engaged, especially smell. The fig tree putteth forth her green figs, and the vines with the tender grapes give a good smell.
Focusing on aromas, like the natural allure of the body. Pheromones.
That seems to be part of it. Reinforcing that intimacy designed by God involves all the senses. The fragrance of new growth, the scent of fruit mirroring the natural, unique aroma of two bodies joined intimately. It's holistic, meant to be enjoyed fully, without shame. Every part contributes.
Then we get this idea of a safe haven. O my dove, that art in the cleft of the rock, in the secret places of the stairs. Let me see thy countenance. Let me hear thy voice.
The dove in the cleft of the rock. It symbolizes this safe, secluded, special place for intimacy, a sanctuary hidden from the world, reserved just for the beloved.
It sounds incredibly personal.
It is, and it powerfully echoes that story of Moses in the cleft of the rock, seeing God's glory, a unique encounter in a hidden place. It implies that in true intimacy, marital or divine, a part of you is revealed, the deepest, most vulnerable part that no one else sees.
A sacred unveiling, where the vulnerable body mirrors the open soul.
Beautifully put. And that line, "Hear thy voice, sweet is thy voice." It's remarkably frank, isn't it?
Yeah, what's the interpretation there?
Our sources suggest it refers directly to the sounds of pleasure and contentment during lovemaking. The whispers, the sighs, the murmurs of satisfaction. It just confirms again how openly the text celebrates physical pleasure as natural and cherished.
It's amazing. And the climax itself, that overwhelming feeling.
Yes, it's connected to the ecstasy of being in God's presence, that feeling of being almost overwhelmed more than I can handle by goodness, beauty, satisfaction. It's presented as a small glimpse of the divine.
So human intimacy can echo divine intimacy.
Profoundly, reflecting the intense joy, the satisfaction, the feeling of being utterly known and loved that we find in God's presence.
Okay, so we have this incredible picture, but even this love vine needs tending, right? Protecting. Which brings us to the little foxes.
Ah, yes, the warning. Take us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes.
We talked about thorns on the rose. What are these little foxes?
It's such a great metaphor. You can fence out big threats, but these little foxes are the small, sneaky things. Unnoticed distractions, bad habits, minor neglects, unresolved issues.
Things that seem small but do real damage.
Exactly. They subtly spoil the vines by sucking the life, the juice out of the relationship, weakening it from the inside until it declines. It's a reminder that even beautiful things, like tender grapes, are vulnerable and need constant vigilance.
So it's often the small, consistent erosions, not necessarily the big dramatic events.
Often, yes. Those minor annoyances, resentments, apathy, distractions, they creep in and erode the foundation. Whether it's a marriage or our devotion to God, it's a call to pay attention to the small things before they become big problems.
A really important warning. And then there's that recurring declaration, my beloved is mine and I am his.
Such a powerful statement of mutual ownership, isn't it? A covenant of belonging, security, trust, shared identity, complete commitment.
It echoes what the Apostle Paul taught about marriage, about husband and wife's bodies belonging to each other, becoming one flesh.
It does. It's that divine design for complete union, merging two lives, dissolving boundaries not through losing yourself, but through joyful surrender and mutual belonging. That's what the song celebrates, total oneness, embodied and spiritual.
And he feedeth among the lilies.
Another beautiful sensual metaphor, receiving and eating of each other's love, delighting in shared intimacy, constant mutual nourishment, finding satisfaction and sustenance in each other, a hunger met within the bond.
And the desire for this joy to last, it echoes that initial longing. Until the daybreak and the shadows flee away, turn, my beloved.
Right, until daybreak suggests prolonged, satisfying intimacy, a whole night of connection. And shadows flee away implies clarity, full light, like a mountaintop experience that was real and left no doubt.
And turn again upon the mountains.
That expresses the deep desire for this joy to continue, to re-embrace the beauty of the union again and again. Love isn't static, it's dynamic, always discovering and rediscovering.
So the overall message is clear. Cultivating love, like a garden, needs constant, purposeful work.
Absolutely. You have to actively remove the weeds, apathy, neglect those little foxes,
Yeah.
and purposefully nurture the flowers, romance, effort, choosing to fall in love over and over.
It's an active, daily pursuit, a garden that always needs tending.
Definitely a dynamic process. The song makes it clear. Love, human or divine, isn't something you just achieve and coast on. You tend it, water it, fight for it so it flourishes.
Wow. What an incredible deep dive into just one chapter. We've seen how it boldly, uninhibitedly depicts marital intimacy, the physical, the emotional connection.
And how that passionate, embodied love becomes this profound mirror for God's consuming, relentless love for his people.
It insists, doesn't it, that true love, spouse to spouse or soul to God, is meant to be wild, consuming, intimate, and beautifully without shame.
Yes. The language of the bedroom becomes the language of the sanctuary. It reveals the depth of divine affection and our own God-given capacity for love, how our bodies and desires were made to reflect his passionate pursuit of us.
So, as you listen and reflect on all this, maybe consider your own relationships, your human connections, yes, but also your spiritual walk. What little foxes might be subtly spoiling the tender grapes in your garden of love or devotion? Those small habits, neglects, distractions that might be draining the life from your most cherished bonds.
And maybe ask, how might a renewed, active pursuit of passion, both human and divine, a fresh decision to answer that ancient call to come away, how might that transform your landscape, bring a new spring into your life, into your heart?